episode of Surviving the Survivor. We bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation, and welcome to this special episode of Surviving the Survivor, the podcast that brings you the very best guests in true crime. This is the Holocaust Remembrance Day special episode. Sound the Karm alarm. She is in the house, and I blame her for being late, even though it really wasn't her fault today, even though it was not her fault today. Most days it is. Look at this right here. We're going to, as always, have a serious but fun but somber time. This is Alice Reiter-Feld. As many of you all know, we kicked off the STS book tour in earnest today. I woke Karmela up at 5:30 in the morning. She was camera ready by 6:30. We did a morning show with Fox in Connecticut. And then, believe it or not, we were on Dr. Phil's new network right after that. And then we headed over to Temple Menorah for Holocaust Remembrance Day, where we met STS Nation, which was awesome. Alice Reiter-Feld. She gave me a book. Alice, can I tell them what the book is? It was funny but serious and much needed. Had the pleasure of meeting Joel, Karm, and the COE, and family today at the inaugural book signing in Miami. This is true. The very first time that we did anything like this. And Karm, hard to believe, but somehow nothing went wrong today yet so far. But we haven't gotten through this show yet.
Kind of a little scary when all these how many activities? 5 or 6 activities?
5 or 6, yes.
None of them got messed up. So I used the proper term. I wanted to say screwed up, but then I said messed up.
Messed up. I just want to let everyone know that there is an organization called the Jewish, this is Karm's idea, by the way, the Karm idea. There's an organization called the Jewish Foundation for the Righteous, the JFR. I'm going to read a very brief description of what they do. The Jewish Foundation for the Righteous provides financial support to aged and needy non-Jews who rescued Jews during the Holocaust and preserves their legacy through a national education program. One of my good friends, his family for a long time were big donors to this and organization, and Karm thought it would be a good idea. Karm, where did this idea come from? We're going to donate a percentage of the I should say, anyone who buys a book today, any book purchases at all today, a percentage will go to this organization. Again, the Jewish Foundation for the Righteous, which provides financial support to aged and needy non-Jews who rescue Jews during the Holocaust and preserves their legacy through a national education program. Karm.
Joel, we have to be more precise. We can't just say a percentage, because a percentage could be 1%.
Well, I haven't figured it out. Let's say 10%. How's that? Is that fair, Karm?
That's a little fairer than 1%.
Here's Jared Ross, who is in Tallahassee. The righteous among nations are heroes. Many of us would not be here today if not for them. 100%. Karm, you were saved by, we're going to get into this story in a moment, but you were saved by a lot of non-Jews, what they call righteous Gentiles. Is this why you had this idea? Where did the genesis of this idea come from? Again, anyone who purchases a book today, we've decided 10% of the proceeds are going to go to this organization. Karm.
You decided 10%.
What do you tell me, Karm? I'm down for anything.
All right, I will not nickel and dime you, but we can do better than 10%. I tell you where the idea came from. If you remember when we did Dr. Loeb, the interview.
Dr. Loeb, Avi Loeb, correct.
Yeah, and I said, let's do the Kennedy type of a thing. What can you do for your country? Don't ask what your country can do for you.
And
No,
Nancy B is asking if they can make a straight donation without purchasing the book. The answer to that is 100% yes. We'll put a show link in for full disclosure. We were running around all day. So we have some graphics and some photos, but not
we were in Davis, we were
not
in
the way I'm usually prepared. I'll tell you what makes me a little sad, Karm. Typical show has probably 10 times the amount of people who are on here, but people are busy, and this is not necessarily. This is
where do you read on the top how many people are there?
Yeah, Karm, I can see, but this is a topic that's hard for a lot of people. It's incredibly overwhelming, and or people are just disinterested in it. What's your take on this, Karm? Why so few people?
Is that I first of all admitted you scheduled this without ever consulting with me.
I admit it.
Okay, so guilty as charged.
Yes.
I think people get already, 80 odd years they're listening to these yearly lamentations, and people are not into yearly lamentations. A, B, this is not true crime in the true sense of the word, even though I agree with you that this is one of the bigger crimes of humanity through the centuries. It's not like, what is her name? Karen Reed or some of the characters, on a more human scale where you can discuss, is it a conspiracy or is it really did she commit a crime and so forth. So it's like I agree with all those who feel that way about it totally.
Bonnie Lee Lopez in chilly, but now warming up Vermont, at least I hope. I waited all week for this show. Never forget. Correct. And I was pondering that today, Bonnie. This show is just going to be kind of stream of consciousness. We will get to some of the details of the day in a moment. But I was thinking about this today because there is the never forget and or never again. And Karm and I actually, and I'll show you some photos in a minute.
It's very strange, but just today, somebody in one of those places where we spoke explained to me the meaning of never again, never again now. What it means? It doesn't mean. You want me to tell you what it means?
Please do, Karm.
It doesn't mean that never again.
By the way, I was mid-sentence and you interrupted me, which is fine. But when I do that to you, I get the hate mail. Go ahead, Karm.
I never realized it. I apologize. Finish it.
No, you go, please.
No,
Ladies first.
You go.
No, Karm, I insist. You go.
Oh, no, please.
Karm, I'm not speaking till you
No,
go.
never again now doesn't mean never again. That was the slogan after the Holocaust. Never again means it will never again be like in the Holocaust, which was when we were completely.
I did not know that. So I did not know that. That's interesting. That's an interesting
twist on variation on the theme.
So in other words, it's not that it should never be what it was, is what you're saying.
It doesn't mean that there will be no attacks on us but not things will not be the same as they were then, because then we were really powerless and nobody would help other than the righteous Gentiles in plural.
Yeah.
And the countries closed their borders and they wouldn't let the refugees in, and it was really a hopeless state, very powerless and very hopeless. Now you can still be attacked, so you cannot say never again. You can be attacked, but there is an immediate response.
Look at this, Karm, from Vesper Martini here. Joel and Karm saw your interview on CBS Miami, which aired today. We didn't even see it at 6:00. We have not seen it. Karm loves to watch herself, and so I will get her a link immediately after the show. But we had all the medias there today at the book signing. We had CBS, ABC, NBC, and Fox were all there interviewing Karmela, which was interesting. And like I said, we were on Dr. Phil's new network, Merritt Street Media, which is his new television network. They have an interesting morning show, which we participated in today. So I want to do something here. I would like us, and I did this during the talk today, to take a minute of silence, just 1 minute, and you'll see how long 1 minute is, a minute of silence. But during it, not just in light of the Holocaust, but this is what's prompting it. You heard us say that non-Jews save my mother. We are all capable of doing things. We have slogans, never again. But what would we all actually do? What can we do? What are we willing to do in the face of a lot of horrible things going on? You don't have to go far. You can just look right now at what's going on in the world. Let's spend 1 minute in silence. By the way, the entire country of Israel stops today. If you're driving, you pull over. It is custom and tradition there. And let's spend 1 minute just not saying a word.
A whole minute? I don't know if I can resist that long.
Here we go, Karm. That's 1 minute. If you're suffering or you're being oppressed or you're being attacked as a people or as an individual, that is a long time. It seemed like a long minute to you, Karm.
Yeah, it looked like it was longer than a minute.
I had to mute you because your grandchildren it's never quiet in the Waldman house. So, Karm, obvious most first question. Then I just want to get into a little bit of Karm's story, and then we will. Wow, look at Jared Ross. Look at this, Karm. This is interesting. And this brings me to another interesting question. If you spend a minute of silence for each of the 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust, and by the way, plenty of gypsies, gays, Gentiles, plenty of them were murdered as well. You'd be silent for 11 and a half years. That's an amazing statistic. Jared Ross is either amazing at math or really good at the Google. It's probably both, actually. But you'd be silent for 11 and a half years. That's a lot. That would be, Karm, could you go silent for 11 and a half years, Karm?
No.
You could not.
Yeah, I mean, I could if I had to. I know there are some monks that I forget the group of monks that don't use language and that exists, but it's not for me.
And great question from Bonnie Lee Lopez. This is, again, not surprised, but like a tenth of what we normally get, and that's expected. But I wish it was 10 times more.
Lamenting and enjoy the people who are here. I enjoy those people.
Bonnie Lee Lopez with a question. Joel, do you have a new appreciation for Karm when you hear her talk about what she had to do to survive? Short answer is yes. The much longer answer is, no matter what I do or try to learn or try to understand, I'm very disconnected from it all. And I talk about this in the book. I cannot understand. I can't connect the two. It seems so different. I mean, I grew up in a suburban New Jersey town playing baseball and football and going to school where, it was just a public high school with all kinds of kids, great neighborhood, and I can't I can't imagine. I just can't wrap my head around it. So the short answer is yes and no. But what I do have more of an appreciation for is I heard a statistic today. There are only 285,000 survivors left in the world, and that is across 90 countries, and half of those are in Israel. And look at this. I don't know the answer about Ireland being. Karm, do you have any idea if Ireland was much
You
more
know,
Jewish prior to the war?
may I say something?
Yeah.
For many, many, many years, I felt uncomfortable dealing with the Holocaust. And just today, it's kind of weird because at this age, I'm learning new things. Just today, I was talking to my very smart daughter in law, and
Otherwise known as a COE.
COE, yes, or AKA COE. And I said to her, I really don't like the Holocaust, myself linked to the Holocaust. And for many years, I knew and I was conscious, but I kind of avoided all the participation on Holocaust Day because I perceived the Holocaust as victimhood for me. And I really don't like to be a victim. I don't like the image of the victim. So she said to me, you may just say that, that's what happens, that it makes you feel like a victim, but you have a lot of, she didn't say that, but I said that I have a lot of resilience and I have a lot of ways to resist the victimhood. So somehow, putting on me that I am like Miss Holocaust now, because Joel, for some reason, from the beginning, when I think Joel has been intrigued and curious and involved emotionally with this Holocaust story, and I try to avoid it.
Karm, you pivot. You're about to insult me.
Never, Joel.
You pivoted into.
I would never insult
Look
you.
at this from Karm. This person, Linda Lou's father, is 96 years old. He fought the Nazis. He's still with us. What would you say to him if you saw him face to face? He fought against the Nazis.
I would thank him. Today, somebody came, Alice came to see us. She's one of the people who watches us. And she told us that her own father was in the US Army and fought the Nazis and liberated one of the concentration camps. And then I gave a little speech to Joel, who was probably not even listening because we were in the car together. And I said to Joel, what scares me is that this generation that fought the Nazis, that had the experience of what dehumanizing ways one people treated another people, when they die out, the same way the survivors die out, the liberators of the camps and the people who fought the Nazis will die out, and the new generation will come. And that new generation will completely be unaware of what happened in the past. And if you don't know what happened in the past, how the heck will you know what will happen in the future? So I got a little worried about it.
From Jerry Michael, Karm, were you surprised when Joel wanted to write a book about your experiences?
I was very, very, very surprised. Even though there were early indications for my 60th birthday, instead of getting me a present, he went and interviewed my mother, who of course died already, and my uncle, her brother, my closest friends, my sister, and they are, by the way, they're all on YouTube. uh, he interviewed them, and he wanted to give me this present of remembering them, which was beautiful because then they all died. And so I have the memory. So I knew that, but he was always very busy with working on television and having children and having all sorts of other projects. And then, uh, thank you, COVID. We started, thanks to COVID, we
Yeah,
started the podcast, right?
we did. And Linda Liu is back here. What's going on in America is frightening. You see what's happening. My own nieces, my sister's kids, two of them went to Columbia University to Barnard, which is part of Columbia, I think, and same area, same they
Yeah,
share.
no, they are the same because they
Yeah,
took part of their classes
and
in the
my
building.
other niece went to MIT, and all these places have had um, horrible pro-Hamas protesters overtaken the campus. Karm, what's been your reaction to seeing this on television, on the news every single night? Karm, you are one that is not able to multitask. I see you doing something on your phone that you shouldn't be doing.
It's not my phone. I found this bracelet.
You should be 1,000% focused on this, not 97, not 37.
I listen.
I
I
can multitask. You cannot. What is your reaction to what's happening on college campuses in
first
America?
of all, first of all, I've probably told you a few times already what happened to my father during World War II, and I think I inherited some of his genes. He was a very very great optimist, and I developed this saying that even optimism can kill you. And I think I am also leaning too much towards optimism. So when I see what's happening at Columbia, UCLA, NYU, and all the others, uh, my feeling is my feeling is that it's a small minority of of people. Some of them genuinely believe in their cause, and some of them are like anarchists and literally provocateurs, and there are agitators there, and that it's compared to the 330 million Americans, they are probably a very, very small minority. But then when I think that they are going to be the future leaders of America, then I am worried.
Someone raised, look at this, Jared Ross, Karm, you're not a victim, you're a survivor, followed by,
I like this, Jared
yeah,
Ross.
Jared's a great guy, followed by Josu. I guess it's Josu. Karm, you're not a victim, you're a survivor. There's a big difference. Incredible what you've achieved, Karm, inspires so many. Someone raised this question. I thought it was really fascinating. It was a rabbi today, actually, at the school. Bonnie Lee Lopez, Karm, you're a survivor and your story matters and it is important. It needs to be told. The truth needs to be told. Well, Karm, let me ask you. That question took me by surprise. The rabbi asked, because I said I read there's only 265,000 survivors left on planet Earth. He asked how many survivors were there, and I'll be honest, I have no idea. Jared Ross, you're a smart man and quick on the Google. Do you have any idea how many people survived? I don't know. I don't even know if there's a way to calculate that. But needless to say, it was an interesting, very interesting question. Karm, Gen X Granny visited Anne Frank's house. Have you ever visited either Anne Frank's house or any of the camps? And if not, why not?
Uh, I did not visit any of the camps. Uh, I don't know if you know this expression. I gave at the office when in the olden days, they would call you at home charity organizations and so forth. And you would pick up the phone and they would ask you for money. And you would say, oh, I already gave at the office. But that became an expression. So I gave at the office by doing it myself, being there. And my father and grandfather, having been murdered there, gassed, and then incinerated. Uh, I had zero. I felt I would just support Polish tourism if I went there. And my granddaughters, maybe three of my granddaughters went there. And my niece Sylvia went there, I know. And my husband had no desire to go either. So we never went. We never went.
Karm, by the way, I'm having a weird moment that I'll share with you and everyone. I'm kind of like down tonight. There's a lot of hype about today, first day of the book sales. Book tour and hopefully book sales. But
it's Freudian.
In thinking back on the day now, I know you're going to think that I'm full of you know what, but it's just so important for me for people to read this and not. I swear on my family. It's not a financial thing. It's just that I want Karm. It's just so important to me that people read this, and it's I'm afraid that there's just not the sort of interest. And I'll be honest, that's kind of one. This is not, again, it's not a Holocaust book. I keep joking with people. It's my mother's Holocaust story, and it's wacky. You never hear humor and Holocaust in the same story. But Karm, I'm bummed out because I know the people that I wanted to reach, the amount of people, it's never going to reach that amount of people.
May I say something to you?
You may.
Lower your expectations.
I can't do that.
Be happy when things happen. You, the publisher of the book said, Joel, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
And believe me, he wants to sell as many books as he can, right?
Yeah, it's not about the sales. I'm serious when I'm saying this. I'm saying it's not going to reach the amount of people that I wanted to, even if I was able to hand them out. KO Las Vegas. I took an 8.
To tell you, there are many, 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 many books on the Holocaust. At one point, I felt that there was
different. It's different than all of those.
Overload of books on the
Can
Holocaust.
You admit that this is different than all of those?
Bet, which I cannot win because I won't be around, that even in 100 years, there will be books on the Holocaust.
But can you admit this is different than all of those? Can you admit that this is different than all of those?
Every one of them is different.
100%. You're right.
What?
Look at KO Las Vegas, Karm. I took an 8th grade class to D.C. At the Holocaust Museum, you get a card with the name of a person whose journey and fate you find out at the end. My daughter was sobbing that her person perished. She should have gotten Karm. Karm.
The odds were against the person surviving.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We know you discuss a lot in the book, but tell us about your Holocaust memories. What was your most impactful memory of your father and why? So, Karm, let me ask.
Well, do you have that picture that you were showing this morning?
I don't.
My father hugging me when I'm a few months.
I don't because the COE just didn't have time, and there's no way to input it right now. But, Karm, what is your most impactful memory of your father, Karm?
Well, I was just going to tell you. At one point in my life, like everything usually catches up with one in one's life. At one point in my life, it's a long story how and why. We were in Syracuse, and I suddenly started to think about this photograph. Imagine a very chubby baby, adorable baby, and the father is really holding the baby like this and giving it a hug. And that's my father and I. And I would start to cry indiscriminately when I thought of that picture. So I tried very hard not to think of that photograph. now that you showed it today, I don't even know how it popped up because the albums are in New Jersey. I'm in Miami, so I don't even know how. Now, when I see it, I say, "Oh, cute baby," and a very happy father. But there was a time when I really couldn't. I mean, I got all broke up when I looked at that. That was one experience. The other one is that my mother uh, told me many, many stories about my father and how much he loved me and what, because I did not really remember him. Uh, Last time I saw him was about a month before my fifth birthday, and I remembered him vaguely. And oh no, this what you're seeing now on the picture is the tombstone of my paternal grandfather and grandmother, and my mother. This is my mother, um, and my grandmother, and I'm in the middle after the war when her husband, my grandmother's husband, and my father were killed during the war. So my mother, after the war, had my father's um, name chiseled into the stone of his own father, without, of course, his body, which was burned by the Germans.
By the way, Ned Smith says the child, that's my mom, looks exactly like Joel's younger daughter. That would be Z-Bugs.
Oh, that's interesting. There is some similarity, uh, but in any case, this was the family that was left behind, and this is an interesting story about my family, how these two women and I survived. Uh, you could say a miracle, but uh, my grandmother was a definite second miracle, how my grandmother survived. And they were very close, my mother and grandmother. And if you want to, I can tell you.
Please do, Karm. You can't leave us hanging in that way. Real before you do, very quickly. So this photograph on the right is my own this looks like it's from 1700, but this is my own grandfather's tombstone. It's my great grandfather's cemetery plot, and since my grandfather was incinerated and there's literally nothing left of him, all they could do was put his name on this. And when we went back this summer, we almost couldn't find it. There's so many headstones and tombstones in this Jewish cemetery, literally in the middle of nowhere in the former Yugoslavia, that we almost didn't find it. Thanks to the COE, she spotted it. And there, believe it or not, I've never heard this last name, Chris Haber. That's my mother's last name.
I don't believe in the middle of all this, Freddie broke in.
Freddie broke in. We can all hear the jingling. And so this is a photo of the tombstone, and we're going to get to your grandmother.
Wait a second. Get Freddie out. Please get Freddie out.
Wouldn't be a show, even on Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Thank you.
Sorry, I think the locker's broken.
Yeah. The COE says, I didn't go all the way to Subotica in Serbia to not find it. So she did find it here. Anyway, the point of this.
And I was getting discouraged. So I said, let's leave. And she said, oh no, we are not leaving. And she looked, because there are a lot of people with the same last name, Chris Haber, which is an awful name. I was happy when I became a Waldman, because I didn't.
A weird last name, but if you look here, my grandfather.
There were a lot of Chris Habers in that cemetery.
Yeah, so my grandfather was born 1910, died in 1944 in Auschwitz, as it says there. But it's Laszlo, and then my grandmother, who's on the left here in this photo, she remarried someone with the exact same first name.
Yes,
and I took the Z and the Z for both names, and that is my daughter's name. My middle daughter is Zizi, name for the two.
She has a normal name too.
Yeah. So it's Zizi Elise, but the ZI and the ZI, the Z's are for Laszlo 1 and Laszlo 2. Karm, tell us, you said that Grandma Nudgy, as she is called, she had an even wilder survival story. What happened to her? I don't think I've ever heard this
Well,
story.
well, let me backtrack a minute. If you get bored, just put the sign there, enough already. But anyway, what happened was that on June 17th, my father got a signal from the mayor to come over, send somebody over, didn't have a phone. And so he went over. It was like across the street from his optometry store. He was an optometrist, my father. His diploma is in the book because the diploma is one of the reasons he was killed. So I'm going to explain. So my father went over to the city hall, and the mayor said to him, "Listen, you have to disappear because tomorrow they're taking you out of the ghetto to the freight station, and trains will take you to an unknown destination, and we think they are going towards Poland." And my father panicked. Earlier, a few months earlier, my mother and grandmother, my grandmother had a sister in Budapest. They obtained false documents. They paid for false documents, and they had false documents. And my mother said, "Let's run away," to my father. And he said, "No, I'm not going anywhere. I studied in Germany for a number of years to get my diploma. I know the Germans. They are a cultured, uh, uh, sophisticated people. They would never do what people are spreading rumors that they are doing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying." And he said to my mother, "If you want to go, you can go, but you cannot take Karmela with you," meaning me. So my mother stayed. But that night, when the mayor warned him, he at that point he said to my mother, "Do something." Her name was Vera. "Vera, do something." So nobody put on pajamas or nightgowns that night. My mother and the grandmother were busy hiding money and little pieces of jewelry on their bodies and the false documents. And in the morning, when around 6 o'clock, the Hungarian Nazis who worked together with the German Nazis came into the uh, house in the ghetto and said, "Everybody, get all your money and all your jewelry together and make a suitcase because you're going away." And at that point, they said, "We are going down the street and then we are coming back to take you to the train station." And when they left for a half hour, my mother took me by the hand and went out through a little gate in the back of the backyard or garden, and just continued to walk and didn't look back. And we got um, I won't go into the detail, but we got um, to her school friend house, and we knocked on the window. It was very early morning. She opened the door. She knew it was at the risk of her life, and she opened the window, opened the door, let us in. And then she dressed up fast and walked with my mother and myself. And the destination was to walk to this eye doctor's house, which was far away. Uh, to walk there. This is like a town of 100,000 people with a nickname, the biggest village in Europe, because it's very spread out. So they had to walk for a long time. They got to this Dr. Scherzer's house, knocked on the door. Prior to this, he told my father, they were just like business friends. He sent my father his customers to make eyeglasses, and my sorry, somebody was at the door. And they were working together, Dr. Scherzer and my father. And he was a righteous, very religious Catholic. And he said to my father, anytime you will need me, I will help you. And at the risk of being hung or shot or taken to a concentration camp, he opened his door and he let us in, my mother and myself. And here is the unbelievable story. The other woman, my grandmother, my favorite person, she was sitting alone on her suitcase at the train station, because the man, her husband, my grandfather and my father were sitting, they were separated from the women. So she sat completely by herself. And we have witnesses. This is all 100% witnessed. It's not just that we made up the story or something, but it sounds like it's so unbelievable that it could be made up. All these stories are unbelievable. My grandmother was sitting on her suitcase. She knew her only daughter. She had also a son, but her only daughter was gone, and she knew where. And the siren went off, like they wanted to do bombardment in the area, and the siren went off. And my grandmother stood up, and there was a woman who was like an acquaintance of her. And she said to this woman, let's run. And the two of them started to run away from the group of people at the station. And my grandmother and the woman came to how should I describe it?
A
The
fork
house.
in the road.
No, not a fork in the road. There were houses there, and the people watched the Jews being taken away. And there was a woman there standing with an apron and her hands like crossed over and watching what was happening. And she saw my grandmother and this woman run right into her yard. And a few seconds later, two soldiers, two of those who were watching the Jews, came by and they asked this woman, did you see two women run away? And the woman, who we don't know who she is, she said, yes, I saw them run, and she pointed to the other way. And that's how my grandmother survived. And that's how I had a grandmother after the war. So the two women were very brave, and that's how my mother and my grandmother survived.
And Karm, because of that story, I'm going to give 50% of all the
God, oh my
50% of anyone who purchases a book today or tomorrow. Let's extend it through tomorrow. Surviving the Survivor. We will give 50% to the JFR. That is the Jewish Foundation for the Righteous. They provide financial support to aged and needy non-Jews who rescued Jews during the Holocaust, and preserves their legacy through a national education program. I would not be here if it wasn't for the non-Jews who stepped up in a horrible time. And I hope that non-Jews will step up today as well, with the anti-Semitism on campus. I'm going to get to that. I promise. I just want to bring this up. I want to read a very quick thing. This is Judah Mack, my son. We don't have a real good photo, but you get the idea.
What is this? Why do you have to show your son?
What is this, Joy?
What is this? What? I don't understand the meaning of this.
There we go. That's a better. So that's Judah. In this photo, he is the same age as my mother when she is taken to the Catholic school. I'm going to read a very quick little excerpt from the book here. This is on page 48 of the book, which is very interesting, actually. Israel was founded in 1948. I no such thing as a coincidence. So the first page I turned to.
Oh, you're becoming a mystic.
To make a short story long, one of my mom's go-to expressions, when the nun opened the door, Dr. Scherzer and my mother helped me go inside. I was clinging to my mother. I was not 5 years old yet. And I screamed at the top of my lungs when the door closed. The narrator here, I was trying so hard right then to imagine leaving Judah Mack alone with a stranger at an even stranger place. None of it translated. My attempt to truly absorb what she had been through was futile. A mother who loves her child doesn't leave her with strangers, I screamed. This is my mom, as my young but powerful voice echoed off the cold cement walls. Before your mother died, I asked, did you ever discuss that moment again? I needed to know. I said it in Hungarian, my mom explained. I did not speak Serbian then. My mother remembered it forever. She remembered it. You know, she even wrote it down when she was 84. She lived with guilt her whole life because of that one decision of leaving me alone. But I'm forever indebted to her because she saved my young life.
But let me explain to you why she left me.
I was going to ask you how you felt about it, but there's no way to you're going to offer it up, which you just did, Karm. Please, by the way, someone has a Great Pyrenees named Laszlo, which I absolutely love. Go ahead, Karm.
Well, she decided what she was going, because my grandmother, when she ran away, she went right to the same Dr. Scherzer's house, and my grandmother and mother were very close, symbiotic. So the two of them had the false documents. There was no border between Subotica, where I'm from, and Budapest, where they were going to go to hide. So there was no problem with passports and things like that, because the Hungarians took back Subotica from Yugoslavia. It was now Hungary. But the danger was that my mother and my grandmother lived in that town for so many years that everybody knew them. And they were very afraid that they would be recognized and denounced, which happened many times.
Karm, real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've got Irene. Look at this. Sending lots of love and hugs to you, Karm and Joel, and COE from Belgrade, Serbia. Say something in Serbian to our friend Irene, part of STS Nation.
Nadam se da vi govorite srpski, jer ako ste u Beogradu, onda mora da govorite srpski. Ja sam bila u leto tamo.
I've been listening to that my whole life. You know, that reminds me of good old York Ivanka Milkovich.
Yeah,
she was one of my mom's best friends. I talk about her in the book as well. Anyway, Karm, when we spoke, you told me that you were so angry at your mom that she left you alone in that Catholic school for boys, but she in part...
Well, I did not say that. I'm sorry.
You can't record things and then say you didn't say. You said you were angry at her.
At the moment she left me, I was very upset. But in hindsight, I did not hold grudges or anger because of that. I understood what her motivation was.
She saved your life. But you see here from Joe Sue's, Karm, your mother was a very brave woman. What's interesting about my grandmother, who I knew well, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't communicate with her. She only spoke French, Hungarian, and Serbian. But Karm, to you, she kind of became a hypochondriac, and she was always worried about something, kind of like yours truly. But why do you think
my mother?
Why do you think she had that strength in that? Karm, I don't know how to take this. I think I'm insulted. You look like your grandmother. Even you have called Grandma Nudgy not the greatest looking thing ever, but I'll take it, Lambrielli. I'll just look at the chin.
She was very smart, not a nice person to everybody, but very nice to me.
And she looks like she would. She looks tough. She looks like this.
She looks like you, allegedly.
COE says it's the rims. Karm, why do you think your mother, my grandmother, had strength in that moment, but was kind of
No, not that moment. During that whole
Yes,
period,
Abbey Crossing. That's Karm in the middle there. Yes.
she was the leader of the family during the period. Uh, because the story is that I was with the nuns for about 6 months when my mother was getting information about me, that I am very pale, that I'm very withdrawn. I had a sty in the eye that Dr. Scherzer was treating. I had no play group because there were bigger boys who were in that school, and I was the only girl. And she was beginning to seriously miss me. And so she had a little gold, like a little gold cross, and she gave it to this man who was from the family of the assistant that my father had in his store, whose name was Ratkai. And so this man came from Budapest. He works for the railroads, and he took me back, complete stranger, but he took me back with him on the train, which I remember the train. It's funny that I remember the train. It was very hot in the compartment and it was crowded. I remember that. And anyway, I was brought up to Budapest, but unbeknownst to my mother, she took me out of the frying pan right into the fire because at that time, and I mentioned this before, that I googled this information. I googled the siege of Budapest during World War II, and it started virtually at the same time when I arrived, and there were bombardments. The Soviet Union was attacking the Nazis who were inside Budapest, and the Soviet soldiers surrounded the city and were bombarding. So we had to sleep in the basement, 4 people into a bed, and and during this time, these were all, we were with fake documents, and we had to kind of expose ourselves because while we were in different apartments in the apartment building in Budapest, we could hide. But at this point, everybody had to go down to the basement and show their faces and their identity. And people in the building, like in my condominium building, we gossip. Who is the new person? Where did they come from? What's the situation? We gossip about this, and people were starting to look at my family in a very suspicious way. And the danger was that they would say, these are not local people, these are Jews who are hiding here, and they would denounce us. But I was very clear about my identity. I knew who I was completely. This I remember 100%. And in spite of that, I would go every night before I went to sleep and kneel down next to my bed and in a very loud voice say the Christian prayers that I learned in the nunnery. So in my family, it became like I was the hero because I saved my grandmother, her sister's daughter, my mother, and myself. We were all together, and nobody ever questioned anymore if we are foreigners or strangers or not, not who we tried to pretend that we were just like them.
Karm, you're my hero, even though today, on the day of our book signing, on this, by the way, Amy Marta, this Gentile, is a proud member of the ADL. That's very interesting. Even though on the day that this happened,
Yeah.
this was a kickoff of our book tour. You'll notice I'm wearing my STS sneakers that were made by Sam Steinberg. Shout out to her. I guess I'm not supposed to say the last name, but and then you see after this is at Temple Menorah after the event. The media is there. That's CBS, NBC, and I'm sorry, CBS was not there. They did something prior to this, but NBC, Fox, and ABC interviewing Karm and I. And Karm, what was this experience like for you? You on the same day that this happened, you also described me as pathetic. Forget exactly why. But
I have to go on the record. I think you are wonderful. You are truly wonderful. And you do so much for me, and but every now and then I get annoyed when you are like envious of other people or something like that. I get angry at you.
yeah.
I think you are the most lucky person in the world, and you don't recognize it. You are like complaining.
I think that I have this will get me some emails, but I think I have generational trauma for sure. Karm laughs at me when I say that, but Cake Spoo, do you think that's PTSD? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking that in reference to, but this experience is definitely making me Mr. C here. Definitely, thank you for the super sticker. Definitely making me realize that I have generational trauma. People today don't know the meaning of bravery. Karm's story is proof. Whenever your family goes through something like this, my mother, and I say this lovingly, is not normal. That's an understatement.
I second that. I second that. And
She is
the
not
worst,
normal, and I'm not normal as a result. So
I,
it's
I work,
generational trauma.
so you are basically right now watching two not normal people,
That's
because
basically what it is.
what happened, I think, through writing the book, through Joel interviewing and taping me, I came to the realization that, uh, I didn't suffer. Maybe what helped me was that I was married to a psychiatrist who, by the way, never did therapy with me. He hated labeling, and he was just very loving. And because of that, all my imperfection, and he was totally not critical. My husband, you have to admit that. Do you admit it?
He was a very sweet man. That's why I miss him. He was the yin to your yang.
So the point is that I do have the psychological problem of being a little too hard,
Yes, that is
too
probably it.
cerebral, and Joel is a little bit too sensitive, and I don't give him the TLC that he would like to have. So he always says, look at Matt Broad's mother. She's so nice and loving."
Matt
And
Broad, not Mel Broad. Matt
oh,
Broad.
Matt Broad.
By the way, Ned Smith, I would like to amend this comment just slightly. The grass is always greener over the sewer tank. Yes, that is true. Or you could say,
That's funny. I never heard that one, I have to
you
say.
could also say that the grass is always greener over the bay, where I can see Jeff Bezos and Tom Brady's homes from a distance. And
And we
Would
made a
you
big
always say,
mistake.
you don't want to live there, Karm. Why wouldn't you want to live in a $50 million home on a private island, Karm?
Can you imagine how lonely it would be?
It would be. Look at this from Liza Rowe to Waller Bridge. What a name, Liza Rowe to Waller
Lies
Bridge.
Rose, the Weller Bridge.
A mother will do anything. Excuse me, do anything to save her child, and the child saved her family because of her mother's decision. Yeah, it really, honestly, Karm, I'm being serious here. This is true. Normal people are boring.
No, it's not true that normal people are boring. When I was doing counseling, people would come in and they would say to me, "Oh, you probably don't want to hear my story because my story is so boring." And I give you my word of honor, I never met a person whose story was boring. If a person shares their story, it's never boring.
Mm.
Damn it.
So appreciate hearing Karm speak of her life. Keep up the great work. Not much, just a little donation. Thank you, Joel, COE, and Karm. It's not the donation that counts. It is the sentiment. And Karm, I think I'm gonna get bummed out tonight. Not depressed, just and we're leaving on Sunday for the quote unquote real book tour. Karm, do you still keep in touch with the family that rescued you?
Want to
What
hear
a,
the tragic
yeah,
story of Dr. Scherzer, for
sure, sure.
example?
But Karm, don't give away everything. Just please
No, it's
you
not
know.
in the book.
Oh
We
yeah.
never went so far. Dr. Scherzer and his wife were very fine, gentle, like he was tall and gentle and kind and soft spoken, and his wife was exactly the same, and they were very good Catholics. That's why they were.
Hold on, hold everything. Did I just miss this? Did Karm just curse? I'm so immune to it, I didn't hear it. Did she curse today? Just now. Someone let me know. Go ahead, Karm.
Okay, I don't remember if I cursed. Big deal.
It's By the way, real quick, back in 1999, I interviewed my mom and her friends and everyone else, my grandmother, and it is somewhere on. Oh, she said this, which is not really a curse. Trust me. When you read the book,
Well, yeah, I said once, damn, when we were being interviewed on a podcast by the Latter Day Saints.
Latter Day. You always say
Latter
that.
Day. What was the name of the podcast?
Silver linings. But Carm, we're all over the place. And the point is, what were we just talking about?
Well, you didn't let me finish my dissertation.
Hold on. What is this? Jimmy McNutty. I love him. Joel, don't let the success of your book dictate your future story. That isn't the book. You are taking STS on a journey that can result in books, plural. We love what you bring to us. Very nice, Jimmy. I appreciate that. I hope to meet you one day, Jimmy. Jimmy McNutty, I don't know why, reminds me of a retired Boston police officer, that name, guy that served and protected his city. So it's probably a woman somewhere in Iowa, maybe. I don't know, like some other people in the chat that go by male names. I won't mention anyone. Karm's debut curse word right here. Look at this. What a great question.
Joel, what was the name of the podcast with
Silver linings.
Lori?
Silver linings.
Lori, what's her last name? Lori
Vallow.
Lori Vallow's brother
Adam.
and uncle have a podcast that's called Silver Lining.
Yeah.
Joel, what is it called?
Silver linings.
Okay, and I said them on that podcast, and they both were very embarrassed and laughing because they are Latter-day Saints.
Yeah. Ida Shaw, JD. What is your favorite thing about Joel, Karm? Takes her a while.
My favorite thing about Joel, he has a big heart, and he's very loving. He's very loving to his family, to his mother, even to his dogs.
Thank you for telling your story, Karm. This is a €5, I think, super chat, and Joel for sharing with the world, and COE for your hard work. And look at this, Amy Marta with a powerful best show ever. So this is us today. So we did something at a place called Temple Menorah this morning, and then we went to a Jewish day school in Broward County, which is near Fort Lauderdale, and it was 500 children, and that little two specks at the very front, that's Karm and myself. You can see it on the left side. That's a close-up of us. Karm, not going to sugarcoat here. You started to tear up in front of the kids. That didn't happen with the grown-ups. I thought you were going to full on. I thought you were going to full on start to cry. But Karm, what did it mean to you to speak? These were middle school and high school kids here, 560 of them that we talked to today. Karm, what did it mean to you?
Well, to me, there are certain things that emotionally kind of break down my tough demeanor, and that was a scene that did that for me, because before we came in, this was a Jewish school, not an Orthodox, but a Jewish school, and there were three guys in what is it? What are those shirts that the jackets, bullet?
Like flak jackets, vests,
And
bulletproof vests.
the scariest guns. And it was the school from the outside was like a fortification, like a military base. They were defending it. And I was thinking how sad, how vulnerable these kids are. And they are all in this room and at the mercy of these 3 or 4 policemen who are watching them because of the world today.
Karm, we'll start to wrap up. By the way, it was 3 nights ago that Karm was screaming and yelling at me that she didn't want to do any of this.
I just get very irritated when he complains when he shouldn't.
And I had to rip her out of every single place today. By the way, that top vote, I didn't realize it was there till right now, which tells you how tired I am. That's at Temple Menorah this morning, the top photo. So we had a really nice turnout. Twirly's mom says, Karm, what were some things you learned to do to cope with trauma and hiding during the war? Did you even think of that?
Well, that's what I got out of our interviews. I think I became numb and sort of buried my emotions, and I just, like a little zombie, went through the days. I didn't cry. I didn't. My mother said when the guy brought me up to Budapest, my mother said, and we had to sleep, a bunch of us in the same double bed. My mother says that I was horrified of touching even her, and I wasn't huggy, kissy, running up to her, all smiles. I was turned to the wall, and I was making sure that I don't touch anybody else. So I had my issues. I had my problems, definitely. Nothing goes unnoticed in life. Everything has its consequences and price, but the main thing is to survive and go on.
Karm says we're all just trying to survive in a rough world. Part of the inspiration for the title of the book. I see you. Look at this, Karm, giving $50 for. Thank you for the personal education today.
Who is this?
I
see you.
Who is this? I see you.
I see you. Thank you, but we'll give part of it to that organization if you don't mind.
Yeah, and Karm, do you Karm, do you agree with this comment from IGG Rocks? Your book, meaning my book, Karm, not your book, the one that you signed, the one that I wrote. Your book is exactly what we need right now. I sort of do think that. Let me just go off on a Joel tirade rant for 1 minute. Every city that we're going to, the media is extremely interested. I was in the media in New York City. It's the one place that is disinterested. And this is where all the chaos is going on at Columbia University, all over the streets of New York City. And let me just say something to the media in New York City. You can buzz right off right now. Those who want to tell the story.
No bitterness.
I'm livid. I worked at Fox News in New York City, and they declined to have me on over some petty stuff, I think, and they can screw it. And my mom is going to tell me I shouldn't have said that, and my beautiful wife's going to tell me. But you know what? There'll be other media that is going to talk to us there. Again, it's an important story.
You cannot win them all the
riled time. Up now. Now I'm riled up again. By the way, if you're just joining right now,
big crowd of young people here.
We're going to give 50% of today and tomorrow. Any books that are purchased, 50% of the proceeds are going to go to the Jewish Foundation for the Righteous. They provide financial support to aged and needy non-Jews who rescued Jews during the Holocaust, and they preserve their legacy through a national education program that's known as the JFR. Ida Shaw, it was a big crowd at both places. It was great to see everybody. It was awesome. The book, so just so you know, thank you. This is Judy Sangmom from Asian American Legal Focus.
Oh, yeah.
When do you think we're going to receive Joel's book? It should be at your door on May 14th, according to the Amazon. And also, by the way,
today is the 6th.
In
so
8 days.
In 8 days.
And it's also going to be available on all audio platforms, and I'm told it's on Kindle now as well. So it'll be there.
Did you tell people the funny thing that we did ourselves the audio platform?
We did all the audio ourselves, which probably took a lot out of me. Probably shortened my lifespan by a few years, but that's okay.
What? You're shorten your lifespan?
Doing the audio book with you, even though it was a wonderful experience in retrospect. Jared Ross says Jewish day schools receive bomb threats on the regular. It's sad. They look like fortresses, armed guards. That's what we experienced today when we went to this school, literally in paramilitary uniforms, 83 years after the Holocaust. A. Heineman, this is an authentic, intimate show. Thank you for sharing your stories with us, Carmen Joel. Thank you to Jennifer Jansen. Last comment here, Carmen, then you'll have the floor. Carm's favorite thing about Joel when he complains, which I do daily. Go ahead, Carm.
Unfortunately, I cannot walk away from it and just say, this is too stupid and I'm not going to get aggravated. I get aggravated. That's what happens to me. Now I forgot what I wanted to say, and it was a very important message.
Karm.
Honest to God, it was like almost like I had a sudden inspiration to say something, and now I don't remember. If I remember it later, I will post it. What were we talking about?
Thank you, Ned Smith. Thank you, Ned Smith. And I'm not going to get political in any way, but it is terrible what's happening in New York City. New York City better get its act together in general. I'm not just talking. Thank you, Ned Smith. This is why I love you. I'm riled up for you. Joel has. It really bothers me. I have to say, it really bothers me on many levels, and I can explain it to people in person. But having worked there, I left. Everybody, I left Fox News of my own volition. It was my decision, not their decision. I left, and so there's pettiness. Instead of dealing with an important story, they want to play petty games, and they can
Joel
buzz right off. What
bothers me about Joel. He has such a wonderful, unbelievable family. He 3 great children, a great wife. Really, he lucked out, and he goes on these tangents of complaining about. I always say these people don't exist. In my mind, these people don't exist. Why get so angry about them? It's not worth it.
Karm is going to be 85 years old in August, and I have dubbed her, and this is true, unless someone can show me otherwise, she's the oldest active podcaster. Forget true crime, any podcaster. So there you have it, the oldest active podcaster. Karm, I don't want to harp on this. I just want to bring it up again because this is actually.
I'm feverishly thinking about this pearl of wisdom that I wanted to share with the people, and now it flew away, or the pearl rolled away.
Wow, look at this, Karm from Copper Horse. She's our mod. She's from New Jersey, and she just donated $100 to the foundation, Jewish Foundation to the Righteous. This is why I say best guest, better community. Incredible. And it's unreal. I've seen documentaries on this. These are people that save Jews who are living in abject poverty, and wealthy Jews and non-Jews come together and they donate, and these people are taken care of for the rest of their life. It's a real. I've seen. There's a lot of anonymous donors.
This is a real good deed, and
yes, that's what we say is a big mitzvah. So thank you. Look at this from Lily Benjamin. Because of this presentation, I'm pre-ordering 6 books for my book club. Thank you. I really hope that it becomes a book club book. The COE's friend is.
I think only for mature audiences because of my proclivity to not use always completely
And
perfect
right,
words.
this open dialogue is what helps us, not about politics. It's about our humanity, 100%. This is as we close out here, we are getting ready to go on the road 1 week from Sunday. I'm going to try to do as many live shows tomorrow, by the way, yet today, even though we were away. Shout out to Space Coast for running the ship, and we're back on Karen Reed tomorrow. Wednesday, we're doing the story out of South Carolina about the pastor's wife. They just made an arrest in Florida. And guess what? Same place as Donna Adelson, Miami International Airport. This guy who's from Broward, but he ran off to Serbia, Karm's home country, and was arrested on, forget the charge. It was not a murder charge, but in the disappearance of his wife. His wife left for Madrid, Spain, never to be seen again. They arrested the husband today. Ned Smith asking, Ned Smith, where are you in Texas? I want to get to Texas, and I've got contacts in Texas. We'll get there. I'm going to be doing these, kind of making it a mission to speak about this and travel around to do that. Karm's not going to be able. San Antone, as they say, San Antonio. This is, by the way,
I was there. It's a nice city.
Yeah, this is the book tour. May 6th happened already in the books. May 16th, Boston with Dr. Ann Burgess. May 19th, New York City with CBS's Jim Axelrod. I wish I could sculpt a giant middle finger to put into the Hudson River and the East River on both sides of Manhattan to let them know what I think of my home.
Sure.
May 21st, Toronto. May 23rd, Philadelphia. June 6th, seeing Jared Ross and company in Tallahassee. That is the Dan Markel murder occurred there. And then Tampa, June 23rd. And we are going to Chicago, and we are going to Los Angeles.
If I survive all of this, I will be surprised.
And Sweet and Salty would love to get, I met the COE here. By the way, Mind of Monsters, they arrested, her name is Anna Kanasevich. That's the husband's last name. They arrested him today at the airport in Miami, either today or yesterday. He was arrested. Jared says, see you in June. I've never met Jared in person. I can't wait. And no pressure on Jared, but he told me he's getting me 50-yard field on the field.
There in Tallahassee.
I've been sitting in a helmet at an FSU seminar.
Where will you meet him in June?
In Tallahassee. You're going to meet him too, Karm.
Yeah.
And you know where he's from? He's from Marlboro, New Jersey, Karm.
Yeah.
Wish I could see you in Tallahassee, but my granddaughter that's a good excuse, Debbie Blair. Mazel tov, congrats. Yes.
Joel, love you. I'm going.
Sweet and Salty says, Joel, are you coming to the Phoenix area? I met the COE in Tucson. And Karm, this is my final question, then I will let you go. I have to admit, I am completely numb. I cannot process your story. I cannot process what you went through. I cannot process what happened to our family when I look at these images of my grandfather, my own grandfather, my very own grandfather's tombstone. I cannot process it. Will there be a future day in history, my history, when I am at Starbucks or at Rita's Ices with my kids, where I just double over, break down, and hysterically sob and crawl into the fetal position on the street when it all hits me at once?
I hope not, because there is no reason. Everybody who is on the program tonight has a story that they could get into a fetal position and cry about, and it would be ridiculous. The whole world would be lying around in fetal position.
It'd be fun for one day if everyone just did that. Yeah. Final question, the most important question. When is your mom going to rest, Joel? Karm, what is the answer to that? You have till Sunday, and then I'm giving you, today was your hardest day by far.
Considering I got up at 5:30, we had our first interview at 6, and honestly, I'm not tired, but I have to drive back to Miami, and then I have to, tomorrow I have a busy day. So I want to wish everybody, thank you for listening to me, and thank you for being here. And thank you for caring. And I am going to be back another day, hopefully, and see you all.
The STS email is survivingthesurvivor@gmail, survivingthesurvivor@gmail. Just please remember, it's a Holocaust Remembrance Day. What's happening in the world today with rising anti-Semitism, but elsewhere around the world, not just to Jewish people. Karm made this point today. Thank you, Ned Smith. Karm, she says you're a national treasure. Karm even said it this morning. If they come for the Jews today, they're coming for the Muslims tomorrow. What's happening is horrible. Today is a day to remember some of those horrors, and Karm refuses to be defeated by it. She's positive, she's optimistic, and we will all overcome. That is for damn sure. From JDH, thanks, Karm and Joel, for sharing your story.
I know what I wanted to say. I'm sorry. I just remembered. Don't let me forget it again. I just want to say one thing that bothers me.
Please.
What bothers me is that once we are considered, everybody else has the privilege of being protected because they are a minority. Everybody else. Just think about it. And the Jews are now declared not to be not to be a minority. All the other people are. It's okay if you are brown or black or from another country. It's okay to declare you a minority, but the Jews that are 0.2% of the population, it's not okay now to declare us minority. When minorities were hated, we were declared minority. So once we are declared minority when nobody wants anything from minorities, and once we are declared not minority when minorities are treated better.
Look at Ida Shaw. They already are coming for Muslims. I am Muslim and can relate. We must ignore hate and promote love 100%. And that's coming from one Jew to a Muslim. Thank you, Joel and Karm. We all love you. We love you back. That's why I always end the show. Love you, America. Karm is my favorite, best guest. No surprise there. She's my favorite, best guest, too.
I love you guys. I told you a million times already, not a million, but a lot of times how much it means to me that I get all these good feelings from your remarks. I really appreciate it, especially since I'm now alone. When I go home tonight, little poor me is going to be alone in the apartment. And then I'm going to think of all these wonderful things that you said, and it will give me a smile on my face and it will make me happy. So thank you. I love you and have a wonderful evening.
Love you, America. Love you, everyone. Let's come together, not divide.